that they should fall? God forbid. That means no, the Israelites didn't stumble so bad that they would fall and not be able to get back up. That's what Paul's saying. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles. This is how the Gentiles were able to get grafted in. Rather through the Israelites' fall, salvation was extended to the Gentiles. This is how the Gentiles were able to get grafted in. Not from Christ dying on the cross or anything else. Paul's telling you firsthand how the Gentiles are able to get grafted in. Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles, is letting you know exactly how you got grafted in. I can care less about what the Christian pastor says, what you think, what any philosopher out there says. No one can tell it better than Paul, who is the apostle to the Gentiles. No one can give a better explanation than Paul himself. Paul's letting you know how you got grafted in. And now he's about to tell you one of the reasons why you got grafted in, because there's two reasons why the Gentiles got grafted in. Paul's about to tell you the first one. For to provoke them to jealousy. For to provoke the Israelites to jealousy. This is one of the reasons why the Gentiles got grafted in. This is a prophecy being fulfilled, written all the way in Deuteronomy, which of course you wouldn't know about it because you don't study the Old Testament. Of course you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what's going on right now. That prophecy was being fulfilled at this time. So there's a prophecy that we're getting ready to go to that says that the Most High said he would use the Gentile nations to provoke the children of Israel to jealousy if we didn't keep his commandments. And now Paul's letting you know that this prophecy is coming to pass. So let's go to the prophecy to find out what's happening right now in Romans 11. Deuteronomy 32 verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Because we provoke the Most High to anger and jealousy with our vanities, the Most High says, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing to you. I'm going to provoke you to anger and jealousy with a foolish nation. Someone that's not my people. Someone that's not God, that's not God's people. Now, let's find out who this is talking to, because there's some brothers out there that's going to say that this is talking about the southern or the northern kingdom provoking the southern kingdom to jealousy, when this is not what that's talking about. This is talking about Gentile nations provoking the children of Israel to jealousy. Let's go to the first chapter and find out who Moses was speaking to when this prophecy was being revealed. If he was speaking to just the southern kingdom, or was it all 12 tribes of Israel standing here when this prophecy was being brought out? Deuteronomy 1 verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel on this side Jordan in the wilderness. So the Most High was speaking to all 12 tribes of Israel through Moses when he brought out the prophecy that he would provoke the 12 tribes of Israel to jealousy with a foolish nation and those that are not a people. So that's what it's referring to. The Gentiles provoking the nation of Israel to jealousy. Now, let's get some more from Paul about the Gentiles being grafted in. Romans 11 verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. Paul says, I'm speaking to you Gentiles, and I'm letting you know that by any means I'm doing what I have to do if I may provoke some of them to jealousy, which are my flesh. He says, even if it has to do with grafting you in and preaching the word to you, I'm doing what I have to do in order to bring my flesh and blood back into the fold. Now let's find out who Paul's flesh is according to Paul himself. Let's find out who his flesh is. Romans 9 verse 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites. He's talking about all 12 tribes of Israel, northern and southern kingdom. That's his flesh. Who are Israelites? So that's who he's trying to provoke back, provoke to jealousy, so he might save some of them. That's what Paul was doing and using the Gentiles for, to provoke to jealousy the 12 tribes of Israel so he can bring them back to the fold and save some of them if it may be possible. So now we know the first reason why the Gentiles were grafted into the fold. And it was to provoke the nation of Israel to jealousy, so that some of them, when the jealousy came on them, that they would come back to the Most High. Now let's find out the second reason why the Gentiles got grafted in, because there's another reason why the Gentiles are able to get grafted into the fold. Watch. Acts chapter 15 verse 14. Simeon hath declared how God at the first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. Simeon is also aka Peter. Simeon says that the Most High did at first visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. When did it start? In Acts the 10th chapter with Cornelius. That's when the Most High visited the Gentiles, not during the time of Christ. In Acts the 10th chapter with Cornelius. That's when the Most High visited the Gentiles. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written. And now Simeon's about to quote something as it is written, something in the Old Testament he's making a reference to, and we're going to get that in a second. After this I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after the Lord, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, saith the Lord, who doeth all these things. Now, Simeon just paraphrased a prophecy from the Old Testament. Now we're going to go to the exact prophecy that he was paraphrasing so we can get the full understanding on what Peter was referring to, or what Simeon was referring to. Let's go to the Old Testament account, because he said, as it is written. So let's go to where it's written to find out what Simeon was referring to. Amos 9 verse 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as the days of old. The same thing we read already in Acts 15. It's the same exact thing. So let's continue going on. That they may possess the remnant of Edom, and all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord that doeth this. You're going to find out that the Most High is taking those from the Gentile nations to be a possession for the nation of Israel in the kingdom of heaven. Let me say it again. The Most High is taking among the heathen, or among the Gentiles, a select amount of people to graft into the fold in order to be servants and handmaids in the kingdom of heaven. A lot of you don't want to accept that, but that's not my problem. A lot of you don't want to accept that. That's what Peter and Simeon was quoting. The Most High visited the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name, and these select Gentiles would be a possession or servants and handmaids in the kingdom of heaven. Now I'll do a video on it, what it means to be a servant and a handmaid, but you're going to find out that the ones, the Gentiles that make it into the kingdom, they're going to willingly serve. They're going to have no problem to serve, just like the Syrophoenician woman that was begging Christ, and after he called her a dog and said it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs, she still was like, okay, I accept that. And then he blessed her. They're going to be people like that, like Cornelius, like Ruth. It's going to be people that's willing to serve. And it's not talking about whipping and chains and all that. That's not what it's referring to when it says, when it's being a possession or servants and handmaids. I'll do a video on that to give a full explanation. But those people that make it into the kingdom, the Gentiles that make it to the kingdom, are going to have a problem serving the children of Israel, because it's going to be in righteousness. That's what's going on right now with the Gentiles being grafted in. That's what the whole ordeal is about. Not everybody holding hands and kumbaya and everybody just whole big rainbow family. That's not what it's dealing with. It's dealing with a social a structure in the kingdom of heaven that's going to be set up. You can't have a kingdom without rulers and subjects. The scriptures tell you that there are going to be 12,000 from each tribe in Revelations 7 From each tribe, that's going to be rulers over the next kingdom. Well, who they're going to be ruling over? They're going to be ruling over the air or what? Ruling over frogs and cats? They got to have somebody to rule over. You can't have a kingdom without rulers and subjects. See, but the problem is, that's why in the future videos, most of the Gentiles, you're not going to make it to the kingdom anyway. Because you're too proud and stubborn to be able to accept the position that the Most High has appointed for you. And a lot of you ask all the time, I get a lot of comments from you, well, do you think that's fair? That the Gentiles have to serve the Israelites? Do you think? Well, it's not my problem. It's not my position to say if it's fair or not. It just said the Most High that doeth this. Not Brother Yarashalam that doeth this. The Most High that doeth this. So what I think or what I feel don't have nothing. That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. How I feel about the situation is irrelevant. That's not my job. My job is just to show you what the scriptures say. To the best of my ability, bring out the scriptures and then give you the full breakdown and understanding of it. So don't ask me no questions about how I feel and do you think it's fair. I don't want to hear any of that because that's not my job. I'm not the Most High. I can only tell you what He says and what the outcome is going to be at the end. So this is another reason why the Gentiles were grafted in, to be servants and handmaids in the kingdom of heaven. Romans 11 verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and if some of the branches were broken off, let's find out who these branches are referring to. See, Paul right now is giving an analogy of an olive tree. And the olive tree, we're going to find out that it represents the 12 tribes of Israel. So let's find out what prophecy Paul is quoting from in order to get the understanding on what he's breaking down right now. Jeremiah 11 verse 16. The Lord called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he hath kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken. The branches of it are broken. This is the same thing that Paul is referring to. Now we're going to find out who were the branches that were broken off. That's what we're going to find out as we continue reading. For the Lord of hosts that planted thee hath pronounced evil against thee, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against himself, to provoke me to anger in offering incense unto Baal. The branches that were broken off were both northern and southern kingdom, Israel and Judah. A lot of people are breaking this down incorrectly, saying that the branches that were broken off were the scribes and Pharisees and just the southern kingdom. Both northern and southern kingdom Israelites were broken off of the olive tree. That's what Paul is referring to right now through